Welcome back, everyone, to the fourth and final set here on a beautiful kickoff Thursday for the SCC. And of course, this is Gormaz, that's Trelly. And if you want to look beautiful yourselves, well, first off, you already do, but if you want to look even more beautiful and have some, well, I pointed at my shirt as if this is something you can buy. This is not something you can get, but if you need something in that region of clothing that you want to wear, then you can go ahead and pick up one of our official team wear jerseys from Skulls merch. You can go to shop.hi-rezstudios.com/SBL or shop.smiteproleague.com, whichever one you're more comfortable typing, and you can then pick up some beautiful merchandise. I remember actually looking through, not only that, there's some shirts on there. I believe I saw someone on Reddit say that the Summer Masters shirts are up on there, and I'd have to go double check that one to be sure. Those are phenomenal. I was wearing mine earlier this morning I had a stay interview, and then I remembered I needed to get dressed for camera stuff, and those are two drastically different outfits that come through. But yeah, make sure you go to those websites, get yourself some merch, rep your teams, especially if you got a ticket to Worlds. Those went fast, but if you were able to get in on that, make sure that you're repping whoever your favorite is by the time you get there. It's going to be worthwhile for you, and who knows, maybe you can get something signed by one of the players if they're walking around. Again, it's Gormizer, it's Trelly, and it's set number 4. We got the Tanuki, we got the Wardens, and things are going to be really easy for one of these teams, and still pretty easy for the other team, but a little more complicated than when it comes down to it. I'm really excited to see, again, what this squad is going to bring to the table, mainly because there's a lot that come in. The Tanukis have gone through some changes, Yes. And I'm just going to highlight them up. Again, if you missed the video this morning, this is really going to be helpful for you. Sada Dragon, Bitey, and then Ducky, who was a sub on this team, out. In for them are going to be Chronic as the sub, for those of you who care, but then Snoopy and Magic Feet. Snoopy coming in as the carry, Magic Feet coming in as the jungler. And that makes things pretty interesting in my eyes, I think, Trelly, because this is a team, Sada Dragon, I don't even think was 50-50, but, relatively consistent performance. Magic Feet, though, was just unstoppable, it felt like, in some of these lands. Very, very impressive. And then, of course, Snoopy, it's so easy to talk about him and everything he's done. The fact that he's been on some of the best teams in the SPL in the past and is just a phenomenal player. Feels like it's really going to link together.
Yeah, I would say so. As long as the teams are able to make those distinctions and just get the. This is what I say pretty much every single time a new roster is announced and or a new grouping of players. If they put the time in, if they simply do the practice and they're able to get their synergies down, then yeah, they've got the names, right? They've got the talent on the team. It's up to them to see if they can make the magic. But anytime you see a duo lane like that, like Hurrywind and Snoopy, that's gonna carry the mentals, at least, of some of these players that haven't quite performed at that level yet. And I do think, as you highlighted, Magic Feet's been a top performer for quite some time. I think the squad as a whole should be looking real solid. But I did want to bring up one more thing you said.
Go for it.
If I bring a jersey to Worlds, will you sign it?
I'll sign yes. If you bring a jersey to Worlds, I'll sign it.
And also,
if you bring, this is even more impressive. If you bring my AVGL jersey that has my name on it, I'll sign that too.
Okay, and me being like the viewer, also.
No, but also
Trelly brings a jersey, Gore will sign it. But also, you, the viewer,
I'm also going to throw it out there. If anyone has my AVGL jersey, then I'm like super concerned because that's in a closet in my bedroom, bro. That should not be grabbed by anyone outside of like Katie. She can get it. I can get it. That's where the line is drawn.
As long as we've made that distinction. All right, no one else can
But I'll sign it.
That's what I wanted to know. Just wanted to make sure. I just want to make sure you were open to signing things.
I'm glad you are you open to signing
Of course. We will both sign
Do you think if the Wardens make it there, that they'd be open to signing things?
I think so.
Because I've got great news for them. Not only, are they in contention this split, and then, of course, throughout the road to Worlds to try and get there, but also they didn't have any changes, which I feel like usually increases your chances in the beginning of the phase, at least in looking good. And this was a team that I think, again, name-wise, in phase 1 wasn't terrible. I was going to say not great. I think they were great. And now it's just, they get to be even greater, right? Being able to come in. I believe this is from the Summer Masters land, and I believe, if I remember correctly, they were playing with a sub and Leon. So now being able to step up, have everybody ready, I'm just excited to see what this roster can bring in.
Yeah, I think you highlighted it pretty well. And when a squad has not made drastic roster changes, when the whole league is doing so, that tells you either, A, I'm just going to say it. It tells you they're confident. Like, if they haven't made those changes, it means they're confident. They want to keep building on their team synergy together. As you said, besides the fact that Sino was out for that tournament and they needed to sub in, Sino's been looking pretty solid throughout the league regardless. I mean, top 2 junglers in the league, no doubt, you know, besides the Hound's Oath has been looking pretty unstoppable as well, but definitely always had that edge in him where he can play those non-eclectic picks, he can play the weird things like the Scotty jungle or the ESET jungle, and then he can just play the things like Erlong or any of those other top meta picks and play them all pretty darn good as well. So I think that's something that, number one, shows confidence, the fact that they were just able to stick together and continue on this road to Worlds, so we'll call it. And they should be looking pretty solid coming out in this first week.
Yeah, see how well they can kick things off in phase number 1, right? Because you come in, again, you're playing, it's so weird because you're playing against a team with roster changes, but like you said, those roster changes have big names behind them, so it's that question of how well they can adapt here in the Tanuki behind me, as well as how well the Wardens are feeling just in general about the meta, or sometimes lack thereof, depending on how they're vibing, because we've seen that thrown out of the window. Also makes picks and bans way more interesting for these two squads, and specifically because of the Wardens. And it's because sometimes you see something locked in, like ESET's been a relatively large ban so far lately. If we see that get picked up, could be mid, could be support, could be in the jungle. We don't really know. And instead we can just play the old-fashioned guessing game by seeing what is all around it. As we go into picks and bans for these two teams, the Tanuki taking on the Wardens here, game number 1. And of course the Tanuki are going to be number 1, first pick. That's the better way to say that. That is way more clarifying than things. And I'm curious to see, again, some of the bans that leak through. And this is always what's interesting to me. We had a week of SPL before SCC. Usually picks and bans from SPL start to trickle down into the SCC. So like the first week or two, we get like uniquely, this is what we've kind of figured from ranked and from our scrims. And then slowly we start to see some things filter in through the SPL. Since we had such a long downtime, kind of feels like we're going to get a diluted SPL that like in a couple weeks is going to change to like, okay, these are the picks.
Right.
And then the initial diluted SPL is going to trickle into the SCC, and then a little later in the phase we'll get the rest of it. So it'll be fun to watch just how that stream works.
Yeah, it certainly could be the case, but something, as you already highlighted, is the fact that we're watching the Wardens right now, and they sort of create their own meta as is, right? They don't care about the good characters. I'd say we're sort of in a Moswall-style meta anyways, with the fact that Vulcan got some buffs, and Moswall was playing Vulcan anyways way before these sort of things came through. But one thing that has been extremely consistent in the SPL, and apparently also here in the SEC, is that guy on your screen right there, Kabrakan, and then also her on your screen, Yamoja. Those are going to be two extremely powerful picks at the moment. Walls turns out just really good right now, and Kabrakan and Yamoja are going to bring those in spades. And let's see what else they pair that with. The Ratatosker. Because I see the Rat, I'm going to say, since it's the Wardens, probably over to Relentless One in the solo lane, but could also flex over to jungle.
It's definitely been more solo lane lately, right?
Sure.
I mean, even in SPL, like the year, just generally, if you see a Ratatosker, it's easier to guess that it's probably going to be in solo. I'm more interested, well, maybe less, I don't know, I'm half interested, like 60% there.
Okay.
That the Naja was banned by the Wardens, because I feel like
That's
that would be like, with a buff, Sino, you would think would just be raring to get it. But they don't want to deal with it on the other side. Kabrakan got banned or picked up, as you had mentioned. Neath, who has been on the rise in this last couple of sets, was there pretty heavily in the last one, as well as now showing up alongside an Erlong Shin, who, if you're not twigged, just hasn't really been picked up by anybody.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here.
Okay.
Okay, because
on a tree branch like Ratatosker?
I'm not gonna go out on a tree branch. I'm gonna go up on a pillar of agony, if you will, because, as I always do, I like to bring my own ranked games when I play with these players into perspective. And Sino has, every single time I've seen him on my team, he's been playing Hades mid. So if he's been prepping for the Hades jungle for this moment, I mean, it certainly could be a possibility. And it's not out of the realm of possibility for something that Sino would do. So let's just put a pin in that as we get to move forward. And also just something else to note, the fact that Naja buffs as well as itemization buffs has brought us to the point where the Wardens have to ban away Naja even when they're not first pick, because they're not first pick, because they don't want someone else to grab it, which is just unfortunate.
Now, here's what I'm going to ask you, Trelly, to loop it back into the conversation. If someone screen caps your prediction of that Hades potentially going into the jungle, and it's right, presuming that it does, would you sign that screen cap?
I would sign that screen cap. I mean,
at Worlds.
I will only at Worlds. If you show it to me any other time, I'm going to say, what are you doing?
You happen to see Trelly out at a restaurant?
How did you get here? How did you find me?
He's going to cover his ass.
I will sign it only in Arlington, Texas. No other place.
Oh,
yeah,
but
of
okay,
course.
so only in Arlington. So like, if you happen in like,
Time's
you
on
know,
our
like
side.
7 months to for some reason be on a trip in Arlington, and someone found you,
Yeah, for
then it's still valid under this umbrella.
Yeah, let's just say I left my phone in Arlington. I forgot, had to fly back afterwards, and yeah, I could also sign it
I
then.
guess I'm going to
Unfortunate, it's
have
kind
to
of
get
ruined
my
my
hands
dreams, but
dirty
it
again.
could have been cool.
Well, okay, in that case, I can. Well, never mind. It's not really that in depth of a discussion because I was going to say who's better in the jungle, Ratatosk or Serket, but that isn't answered as who's better in the jungle. It's who's better literally anywhere that's not the jungle, and I
Yeah.
feel like Serket doesn't hit the mark.
Yeah, not the best wave clear in the solo lane. We've seen it before, but it's not always the best. I think the rat solo is probably more interesting for sure.
Well, I would think the Serket
Well,
would be more interesting.
better.
The Ratatosker, just better.
Yeah.
And so we can jump into I'm over there. Look, jump into game number 1 for this game. This set, I should say, between the Tanuki and the Wardens. You can tell, Trelly, it's past 6 p.m. So things might get a little weird.
Oh, everything gets weird past 6 p.m. as we get to see.
And yet
where-
we get these bog standard drafts, bro. Well, I don't know. There's a Kronos over on the other side.
Yeah, there's a Kronos ADC.
How do you feel about Kronos right now?
And there's a Hades mid. So Kronos, I gotta be honest, not my favorite pick at the moment,
What skin is
especially with the Conduit gem. That's one of the newer ones. He's got some cool voice lines.
There's
I
skins
suppose.
that are not Kronos 64.
There are not many. There's the NRG one. I'm a big fan
Oh, that's
of
actually a good one.
because when he says you rock, he says you deserve a beer, and I like telling all my teammates they deserve a beer.
And I'm a big fan of the I'm a race car.
Yeah, that's also a good one. And
Which,
then-
for those of you who are curious, is just a literal direct quote from Emilito. Like, that is not like some weird thing. They just, like, he said that genuinely.
I have another piece of fun fact for you. When the SK Merlin skin came out,
Uh-huh.
there's a line where he says, "I'm the greatest," where he says, "Jeffrey, I'm swaggin'." And I assumed because the players wrote the voice lines that Jeffrey was someone either on the team or that knew the team. And so I asked Zap, I was like, "Zap, who's Jeffrey?" And he said, "Who?" And I said, "I'm the greatest. Jeffrey, I'm swaggin'." He says, "Bro, I honestly have no idea who Jeffrey is." So to this day, I don't know who Jeffrey is, but I would love to
And
know.
it seems like the SK players might not know who Jeffrey is.
I have no idea, neither do they. So if
We're going to have
anyone
to
does
bring
know-
it. Look, we're going to have to get Neil. We're going to have to get Sam. We're going to have to get Paul. We're going to have to get Scary D. They're all going to have to come in. We're going to have to ask every single one of them.
I wish I knew. And Scary D's Ronnie, so yeah, he's not Jeff either. It's just we'll never know, or maybe
Yeah,
someday.
Sam is Sam. Paul presumably is Paul.
So I've been told. We have their
And Neil is Neil.
Yeah. Zap is Steve.
Is Steve, and even then his last name is Zap.
Yeah.
So
It's just we're never gonna figure it out. I'm
are they
telling
talking
you.
about Jeff Hindla?
I mean that's
why?
That's where my brain went. I was like, oh, it's.
We've got a mystery to uncover here.
I'm pretty sure that someone like in chat once told me, but I didn't believe it because it came from chat. And you know, if there's one thing that my mama always told me, it's don't believe Twitch chat. So there we go.
That's it's really rare. That's some good wisdom, honestly. Really, like anyone who grew up in like 60s, 70s know
Yep.
about Twitch chat and whether or not they're trustworthy. Of course, they got that from their grandparents. Really, big in the Depression not to trust them.
Yeah, don't pick up any wooden nickels, and then
Don't
trust
Twitch
trust
chat.
Twitch chat. Those-
Probably don't touch Twitch chat as well.
also definitely fair.
Might get. There's so many ways to interpret that, and I'm not going to go into it. Instead, we're going to focus in on the game. Again, nothing crazy that has been happening between these two. I'm still curious about this Kronos. You had mentioned again how it can kind of do stuff. Late game, he's still Kronos, right? As long as he gets there, he's a ticking time bomb, pun absolutely intended. Hurry taking a little bit of poke here. Actually might be in trouble. The Crypt is getting aggressive, goes forward. A couple autos is all you need, but the stun is good. The body blocks are better. The Moonstrike is just a little shy. And Hurry manages to live through that one. Relentless one barely able to escape with his life as well. And that's two players on different sides of the map. Very cautiously escaping.
Yeah, very similar health bars on mirrored sides of the map. As Magic Feet looking to go for the solo invade. Don't think there's going to be any option to go for any sort of aggression there, as well as a duo lane invade once again. Sort of mirrored in this part, but definitely favoring the Wardens, assuming that Hurrywin and Snoopy can make it over there. But it looks like they will just give up the purple buff, and I think you sort of have to, right? Because Kronos doesn't have the greatest early game, even with this Conduit Gem Star, which I think Snoopy went just to try and alleviate some of the fact that Kronos can't clear early on. It doesn't seem to be working out. Even Hurrywin, like, going into the wave and just tremoring as much as possible, it just doesn't create enough space for them. So unfortunate, you're going to miss out on a little bit of XP there. But if you're picking Kronos, I don't imagine you're playing for the early pressure anyways.
Oh no, levels 1 through 3 for Kronos, Chelly. That's the most important part of this game. I will admit though, I'm in love with this. I love this skin. Is what I'm coming to realize. It's something I don't think well, first off, when was the last time I played Kronos? I'm a support main half the time. But then even then,
What's
I
the
don't
other
think
half?
I've seen this. It's whatever they throw me to. The wolves.
So
Assault.
so 50% of the time.
Most of the time it's conquest. And then when it's not conquest, it's give me a god I don't want to think.
Okay, I respect that. So Assault just tells you, yeah, you gotta play whoever you ask.
Yeah, the last time I played it, it gave me Kabrakan, if I remember correctly, and I suck at Kabrakan.
You just gotta like hit walls.
It was before the Manticore's buff.
Oh, of course. Okay, that makes
I
more
feel like
sense.
that should definitely be in there. It was before it got like all of its changes that made it just so much better. And unfortunately right now, Snoopy might be in a little bit of trouble. Locked in by the walls, doesn't have the rewind, and it's just a clean kill. Gino gets credit for that one. Maybe not what they wanted to have, but it ends up going their way. And that's going to be a nice first blood picked up on their side.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the issue. Until level 5, you don't have much safety, and of course, Hurrywin has Blink. It's not like you would have a Phantom Shell this early on in the game anyways, but nothing to really help get a Kronos out of the River's Rebuke. So now first blood goes over to the Wardens. Little bit of gold in their favor at the moment, but I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. They have plenty of CC to try and find a pick in the meantime. I have my eyes on Nehu, you know, that whenever there's a Neath on field and there's an ultimate, a World Weaver to be shot, that's where I want to see the aggression, right? Just follow up to say, okay, where's our Erlong? Oh, you're on the right side of the map? I'm just going to charge and look over there just in case you need some help, just in case an extra stun or some extra DPS is going to help you land that gank.
You mentioned not just like the Neath. First off, it was interesting to me that Nehu did hit level 7 prior to Moswall. But watching how that's going to be impactful over the Hades, right? Because you mentioned it, global presence, Magic Feet shows up anywhere. Nehu should just be able to click, find a shot, at least either for the assistance or, like you said, for Peel. Hades is going to bring a completely different just like feel to the game, right? Not a big team fight ultimate, not really your big burst mage either, so it's not like secure around objectives. But farm wise and lane wise, transitioning into the late game, what is that going to feel like for him?
It's going to be interesting because Moswall has Blink, so he does want to get to the back line and create all this space, but
I
also,
didn't even notice that.
Also, that means that if you're killing Hades before the fight starts because you have a ton of CC on your squad, the 9 turns blessing into a Spirit Arrow, if Hurrywin's there, you got even more spawns to follow that up with. So the CC chain could make it so that Moswall doesn't get to go to the backline at all. I think there's going to be some itemization that's going to help him out. Of course, the Bancrofts is already finished. I imagine that'll be a Bancroft's Claw later on once some more items get added. We've seen how effective Hades can be before anti-heal is purchased, and so far there is none on the side of the Tanuki just yet. So trying to use that to your advantage and look for a kill, I don't know, in mid lane on a Hurrywin could be an idea.
Well, unfortunately for them, Hurry blinks away from one, but man, there's no escaping that barrage. 3 ultimates dropped, and there's nothing you can do. Poor Hurry taken down, and it might not stop there. Snoopy definitely in a unfavorable trade. Bit of assistance in the jungle. Magic Feed is going to catch Griff out. That Whirlpool form is going to be there.
Going
and
aggressive.
Instead, Griff goes in and is looking for Snoopy. Almost finds the damage necessary. Has to use the ult. Has the disengage. Has Gino. And uses the ult for clear just to make sure things continue going their way.
Well, I honestly thought that Griff, going aggressively there was just like, I may die here, so I'm just going to go for the kill opportunity. But really, just a bit of a stall, saying I'm going to wait until I can see my Yemoja. Once Gino shows up, we might just try and turn and fight this at this point because we're up against a Kronos who doesn't really do too much damage at the moment. We're not going to be that afraid of the engage after the fact. So good gank attempt, more specifically good safety there from Griff. This is exactly what the Charybdis really does provide. You use that Whirlpool, you stall out, sort of like the Rama snipes in that sense where you say, all right, I'm just going to relax for a bit, wait for my teammates to make the rotation over, and shouldn't really over-aggress too hard.
Now we'll see where maybe some of that aggression can pay off. What a little, wow, not even 100 gold separating these teams despite the 2 kills. I was trying to do the quick math, assuming that it was going to be around the 1,000 mark.
That
And it
XP,
might not be
though.
there for gold, but it is there, yeah, for the experience. So good farm game from the Wardens, being able to find some advantages. You can see it there, mostly in support. 2 levels, but 1 level for the jungle, 1 level for mid, 1 level there for the carries. That feels like it can carry pretty heavily into an objective here, right? You might not have the gold lead yet, but with an experience lead like this, you can build something.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest power spike that's coming up is, of course, level 12, where you get that second relic. That could be where, you know, we see some sort of aggression from either side, but at the moment, again, Hurry Wind, no beads, no real survivable relic. It's just the blink. Gonna be sort of dangerous to try and frontline as a Kabrakan before that Gauntlet of Thebes gets stacked up and without grouping up with the team. Anytime that we see this Kabrakan out like this, for example, could set up for a massive River's Rebuke here from Gino.
It's going to be the good walls. Not going to lock anybody in, but it does keep Hurry when surrounded. And there, again, is a barrage of ultimates. Nothing he can do about it. But Magic Feet is here. Snoopy is here, and they're looking for a little bit more. But Charybdis just being able to stay immune. The healing from Magic Feet keeps him at least sustained, but it's not able to help find them a kill just yet. The damage is getting turned back on them. Snoopy might find Griff, but they lose Magic Feet in the process. Now Nehu trying to escape, walled back in with a Riptide. Moswall trying to close the gap. Snoopy might be the one surrounded now.
Snoopy just walked past everyone.
Yeah, I thought there was going to be some sort of lockdown, but no. He just escapes. In fact, they might even go back in. Snatty's here and is trying to keep things going. Relentless One is low. What a root. And there's a kill for the solo laner onto the Tanuki.
Yeah, the backflip into the Spirit Arrow there. Make sure that fight wasn't a complete wash. And actually, still even. I was going to say, actually, the Yomi Tanuki pull ahead gold-wise. And they did, technically. But let's be honest, it's still extremely close already. The Wardens have caught up back at this point. So I think the real thing to take away here is that Hurrywind was denied more XP, which means it's going to take longer to get online. Still doesn't have that Gauntlet of Thebes stacked up. And is still extremely susceptible to just either Gino finding some great walls, or Sino just last breath, I'm going to ult you, and I'm going to throw you into the Pillars of Agony, and you're going to die time and time again. I mean, Hurrywind has to watch the positioning, but it's almost like there's nothing that he can do until he hits that level 12 mark, or at least gets a little bit tankier. I imagine that combo's not going anywhere for some time.
Oh, Relentless One. Look, even if you escape part of this, you're not getting rid of the shot from Nehu flying across the map. And maybe an unnecessary dive from Snatty. But it gets the kill, so who really cares? What was essentially a 4-0, then 4-1, now 4-3 lead for the Wardens is actually detrimental in gold for them, and it might get brought back here. They're starting up the Gold Fury fast. The Pyromancer's going on the other side. This trade, it's going to be interesting to see how this comes out. Honestly, I'm going to call it pretty much even by the end of this.
Oh,
unless something magical can happen. No, something magical is happening. Snoopy barely surviving Sino's onslaught there. The ult, the autos, almost enough, but that rewind comes through. And you can see all that gold bounces up and bounces right back down to where it was prior. A little bit in favor of the Tanuki with some really insane engagements in the in-between.
Yeah, that one more auto attack, and Snoopy definitely dies before the rewind gets off. But you know what? I'm going to say that it was calculated, and Snoopy knew the damage numbers down to a T. And now a blink in. We'll get the Pillars of Agony up, but Magic Feet has the CC, and with a little bit of help from Sino, might be just fine, and didn't actually get the heal off, so he... the tower went down!
Oh no, the tower! There's going to be the knock-up. No, it doesn't even connect! The damage, it's still there. Relentless One has to find it. The walls are not going to be able to lock him in. Magic Feet is just running for his life. Pin is there. Walls are up.
Ridiculous.
And this jungler is out of there.
I mean, those were some Magic Feet for him to get out of that situation. I was like, okay, the tower. Okay, Relentless One. And then everything just saving Magic Feet there. I mean, of course, Moswell gets out, which is, of course, the great part about that was the fact that it was Magic Feet diving to the backline, but the CC chain made sure that 9 turns Blessing gets stopped, and the tower going down right at the key moment made sure that Erlungshen got out of trouble there. So, still a gold lead in favor of the Tanuki, despite the fact that, you know, gold worth a little bit more than Pyromancer early on. It was just the farm elsewhere, as well as that tier 1 tower in mid going down. That was a big deal. But take a look at the XP difference in this solo lane alone. That's a level 14 Camazotz versus a level 11 Ratatoskr. I mean, Snatty has just been soaking up farm, it seems, ever since this lane started. And you should be able to rotate. That Camazotz should be able to do some big things at this point. Back up, get a second relic, and really make that XP known, right? Find these mid laners, find Literally anyone.
Spend the next 5 minutes away from your lane, and it's not going to matter.
No, you will be just fine if you make that call. And I was going to say, maybe Sino comes over the wall here, but Snoopy is able to just live up through the damage. And Griff actually throws out the maul there as well, just trying to get aggressive in this lane. Either way, though, I do want to see some rotations here from Snatty, just because the farm has been, it's been very plentiful over in that right lane.
It definitely has been working out. Maybe too well for Snatty. Someone's going to have to put a stop to it if they want it to slow down. Snoopy on the other side is just trying to hang on, right? Is doing the Chrono stuff. Magic Feet, look, you've been able to get out of a lot of stuff. Surely this one's the one that locks you down. The answer is no. He's going to walk away from this one. A lot of ults, a lot of lockdown, and yet not enough to stop this Erlong Shin. Magic Feet gets out of it, maintains the ult as well, and the beads, and the blink that's coming up here in a second. So you have to imagine that the Tanuki are actually feeling really good for an engagement over here in the next couple of minutes. I also think it's worth mentioning, and I just want to give the shout out to Nehu, because ult's back up now. We saw it last use, kind of tossed over towards the solo lane, just, I believe, hit Sino, didn't really end up in a kill, peeled him off. And that's what I love, right? I don't want to see the Neaths sitting around and holding on to that ult. I want to see it thrown out almost always, right? Like right now, there's not going to be a fight, don't worry about it. But don't sit on it too long, because I feel like we've seen that kind of be a trap hole for these players, where they'll have it and it's like, well, what if I had that shot but for like a kill, or if there was a better setup or something like that? Just let it fly.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about this new age Neath build with the Transcendence, and it looks like Relentless One is going to be getting hit by that arrow, as we said, just a little bit further down towards that tower. With the fail not added in, it does add us a little bit more CDR, so you can be a little bit less frugal with that ultimate and just send it out, as you said, pretty much whenever a gank occurs, because it'll be back up in just a couple seconds. Not going to be the biggest deal. But remember, a bit ago, we saw Gold Fury and Pyromancer pulled pretty much simultaneously, which means they're both going to be coming back up real soon as well. This is where those picks, trying to get some extra relics down, trying to get any sort of ultimates on cooldown before those abilities spawn in. Getting Sino's beads, for example, it's going to be a pretty good look. Yeah,
beads tossed down. You manage to save your red buff as well if you're Snoopy there, so really, really good engage for him. Snatty is still 3 levels up on Relentless One. Look at the difference in health bars. It is absolutely wild how controlling of this lane the solo laner is for the Tanuki. And it does not seem like a comfortable spot for Relentless One. No ult right now to their name, no teleport. So they're trying to stay alive, stay away. And this is where things get interesting, Charlie. Because like you said, things are we're gonna see respawns in about 20 seconds for both the Pyromancer and the Fury. It's an Oni Fury though, so I kind of want to know, Pyromancer, it feels like all of the Furies have a little bit of weight more than the Pyromancer for the most part. Do you, if you're the Wardens here, you're a little behind, actually, kind of a lot of behind. What is that, 3,500, 3,400 gold? So you have a lot to make up for. Do you let the Oni Fury go in favor of the Pyromancer, or do you try to fight one or the other?
At this point, I think you can make either call. It really just depends on what happens beforehand, right? Because I don't think either one of these teams are just going to go for a pull. Like let's say, for example, Snatty rotates over. Once this Camazotz is in play, and you look over and see Relentless One is still clearing waves, yeah, I'm calling just go for the Fury and say, hey, we'll grab the Pyromancer as our default prize. But in a 5v5 situation where everything is pretty telegraphed, and maybe where Magic Feet and Snatty just do the Pyromancer because they can, we've taken away that option, so it's not going to be a case. It looks like just a little bit too far behind. Relentless One can't really exist on that side of the map whenever Erlong is around, so they don't really have the luxury of going for any plays like that. I think it was smart by the Tanuki as well, just to say, hey, this is the consolation prize. Let's take that off the map before we even go for this Oni Fury pull. And now, what do the Wardens do? They have to try and fight us at it next time around.
Yeah, you have to choose something. Plant your feet somewhere if you're the Wardens here. And it's going to be the fight back that might be difficult. As we see Tanuki slowly enveloping the left side of the map. Snoopy, level 17, 2.5 items into the build. You have to imagine this Kronos actually maybe not hitting as hard as it could yet. There's always that asterisk on there. Instead, they're going to go for the fight. There's the walls from Gino. It's only going to lock in Hurry One right now, and he could not care less about that damage or the control that it's going to bring. The fight separated Snatty deep in the backline, looking for the separation. Takes a lot of damage, has to use the Bat of the Hell to get away, but it doesn't matter. He's got backup. Magic Feet comes in, gets rid of Gino. There's the Maw, and the damage is massive for Griff, but it's not enough. Instead, 3 members down on the Wardens. Snoopy, Snatty, and Nehu all still fighting forward, and the rewind gets off perfectly. You're looking at 4 down. Let's make it 5. The full-on deicide for the Tanuki.
Yeah, so remember when I said that the Warden should absolutely not try to fight around this Oni Fury because they will get decided and then lose fire after? They should have listened to my advice because that was obviously the call. Jokes aside, I mean, as you said, Sino goes to the backline, ult Snoopy, and he sort of just went, oh, you ulted me? I do not care, and continued fighting as if nothing occurred. You look towards the backline, and then you realize, oh, that's a level, I mean, at the time, 17 Camazotz beating up our Hades. Doesn't really have any sort of way of trying to survive that, so Maswell was out of the fight from the get-go. They did have a really nice re-engage with the Pillar of Agony, and then Griff hit a nice ultimate on top of it, but it was good for 1 kill, and it was just not enough to stop the onslaught of the Tanuki. So now Fire Giant on 5 strong, massive gold lead in favor of the Tanuki, and that Oni Fury is still up. That is still the consolation prize to be had, and I think the Tanuki probably just want to go over, grab it real quick, and continue their push. They even have a Trebuchet on the left side of the map that they should go over and deal with, and they can send their own if need be. Finally, Hurrywin gets a little bit tankier, picks up that Amulet of the Stronghold. That's going to help in the magical department as well as the physical department when more magical protections are built. And it's just going to make for a much cleaner engage. When your tanks are tanky, your carries are carrier. That's what I always say.
And you know, yeah, exactly. It fits on like a good T-shirt. I actually want that as merch. That would be pretty sick. Magic Feet gets a kill over here and right. And I was going to ask something about the Oni Fury, but it doesn't really matter what's going to be said in the Oni Fury because you'll never imagine it's going down on the left-hand side. Taking a little while just because there's only 2 people committing to it, but the rest of them on the side of the Tanuki are just running forward. I mean, this is essentially controlling for them, like you said. Consolation prize. You get a deicide, you get the Fire Giant. You might as well just go ahead and swing for an Oni Fury, plus a tier 1 tower in left and a tier 2 tower in right. And honestly, you might even get a kill onto Maswell here. Goes into the Pillar of Agony, tries to pull in 2. Nehu's taking a little bit of damage. Sino chasing him up. They do not have the numbers advantage for the Tanuki, so a kill comes out for the Wardens. They're buying their time just a little bit as the rotations are starting to come through. You can see Snatty, Magic Feet in the jungle, trying to catch him off tier 2. Not going to be a safe haven for them just yet. Hurry blinks forward, tries to lock him down. Only gets Gino. Beads get used. CC immunity's nice. Knockup, great from Relentless one off the ult. And it at least saves his teammates' lives.
Wow, I'm very surprised at the split push there from the Tanuki. This could have been a much cleaner engage, but with the ability damage from Snoopy, the Polynomicon is swinging, and it looks like that tier 2 tower will still fall. Now they have to go out through at least 1 more in the mid lane as those Oni minions are pushing out. And you got to give props to the Wardens there for being able to find a pick even this far down, right? I mean, Maswell blinks in, tries to find some aggression. Sino goes to Nehu and says, this Neath, I do not want to be getting ulted by towards the end of this fight. I'm just going to go as aggressive as possible, and does put the Neath in the ground. Saves both relics, of course, so Nehu is still alive and well and should be able to try 1 more push towards mid lane whenever possible. But, you know, the Warden's just trying to find whatever gold they can back at this point, right? When you're down this far,
yeah,
you got to find those small wins.
Still 3 levels there in solo, 2 levels there for the carries. It might be even in mid, but everyone else is just looking down the barrel of a couple of levels in the deficit. So the Wardens, again, a lot of places where you have to try and figure out where your defense is going to be. Power play only lasting a little under a minute left on that one. It has been a very monumental power play, to say the least. Strong, strong swing of gold, as well as about 4,000 experience. For everyone other than Snatty and Snoopy, that matters still, right? They hit level 20 incredibly fast, plus the gold that is now in their favor. About 4,000 there as well, making this a 9,000 and pushing gold lead. Fire Giant going to go down or around the belt in about 30 seconds. Jelly, they're looking for a fight. It's just whether or not they're going to be able to find it. There's the pin. Oh, they don't seem to want it. Oh, unfortunately, Sino has to play this super careful, because if he gets caught out, that is maybe curtains for the Wardens. Luckily, he gets away. Fire Giant will come back in about a minute, and the Wardens will maybe have their chance to fight.
Yeah, and it looks like Snatty just sort of 1v4 trying to zone off everyone from at least the Pyromancer, but the Wardens are trying to stop backs as quickly as possible. Hurrywin actually does get stopped, but I don't imagine any chase, and actually Hurrywin is going back in aggressively. It looks like the Tanuki, they're not scared, and they want to fight this one as well.
Yeah, they're feeling more than confident. Great walls from Hurry, force out a Phantom Shell. There's going to be an engage knockup. Great on the Nehu. They kill the mid laner for the Tanuki. Now the follow-up. What can they find after the fact? Anything else? Sino, ult, down. Relentless One, ult, down. Geno's, walls, down. Snoopy, Rewind's going to get used right here. Put him in a good position to turn around and maybe find a little bit more damage. Late game Chronos can be an absolute menace. And there's the example. Only able to find one, though, before going down. Magic Feet finds one, finds two with the help of Snatty. And it's going to be a 3-for-2 trade so far with more on the line. The Wardens turning tail, trying to run, stun, locked up. Geno just trying to escape. But there is no escaping this. Snatty seals himself a double kill. 5-0-7 for the Gamazots, and is feeling really great about this one. Might even go for more if they can catch out Moswell.
I mean, Moswell's got nowhere to go at this point, so let's just see the juke shoes underway, because there's no way you're going towards your base, because Hurrywin and Magic Feet have the cutoff. Moswell dashes back over and doesn't have Blink available, so this will be a very long-winded death, and I think the worst of this is actually just staggering Moswell's death timer, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be up to defend this Fire Giant at this point, and now I will say one thing that needs to happen is Nehu needs to stop getting soloed by Sino in the backline. I don't know if whether that's, hey, tanks, can you guys go back and help this Neath, which probably is what needs to happen, or at the very least just hold on to that backflip in case the Circuit does ambush you in the back, because you know you need your ADC to try and push through some of these objectives. Of course, Snoopy does have crazy damage as just exuberant or just looked at. He has the Polynomicon procs. He's going to be burning through these Phoenixes anyways, but you got two Hunters. It would go a lot faster if you could keep your Neath alive.
True. And I was going to say, and Shelly, let me present to you the concept of intentional feeding. Now, most of the time, that's not a good thing. It's a very negative connotation. Maybe we'll have to hold that thought. Relentless One goes up into the air, almost steals away the Fire Giant. Instead, lands surrounded by the Tanuki, and Nehu, Snatty are not letting him get away with that one. Sent to the grave and into the grayscale. Relentless One sitting out for another minute. Moswell just now respawns. Sino's going to live. It seems like the team's going to be able to sustain just a little bit longer. 11,000, 12,000 gold separating these teams. This is still a regular Fire Giant. No backdoor protection removal. They're just going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. Luckily, there's an Emperor's Armor on the board for Hurry. And so that right Phoenix is going to be an easy burn for the Tanuki.
Yeah, so right bird goes down. You still you're without your solo laner for a solid 20 seconds if you are the Warden. So putting up a defense at this Phoenix probably pretty crucial, but it looks like they aren't actually going for the mid Phoenix. They don't have the minions, and they want to push with that Trebuchet. So they will just dial it back and say, yeah, we've got the one-man advantage at the moment, but we're okay with fighting in a 5v5 situation. We don't need to push that lead too hard. Relentless One will be back, but at this point, we have so much damage, and both of our carries are still alive to try and get this Phoenix down. Probably a pretty smart call as that left bird starts to get sieged.
They're going to go ahead. Again, aggression on twofold. Maybe going to be an engage from the Wardens one more time. There's going to be the knockup, but a great Aegis keeps Nehu alive. You mentioned it needs to stop getting soloed, and at this point, might just be better because look at how much it's going to give the Tanuki. You trade Nehu, but you're going to find two just for the one kill, and instead, you're still sieging Phoenix, just falling, as well as potentially Moswell getting chased down. Pillar of Agony prots are great. Hurry still goes down, but it does not matter. It's 4 gone for the Wardens. The left side Phoenix will go, and with this amount of time, Trelly, you have to assume it's the end.
Yeah, I think Geno is probably just dead after one stun from Snoopy if possible, but it looks like with enough tanking and enough juggling back and forth of Titan aggro, this should be the end of game number 1, and Geno finally does go down. I said just kidding, because Geno's got the hot steps and deserves to live it up in the Titan.
In a really, really bizarre parallel universe, aggro played for the Tartarus Titans and was Titan aggro. Sorry, you said that, and that's where my brain went. Hey, it's a great win if you are the Tanuki. Again, very, very good engagement for them. I think that most of that we get to see where their team fight is great. And this goes back to the concept I was going to bring up before that Fire Giant, and then proceeded, I'm going to call it thwacking afterward to make sure that everybody else fell down. And it was that Nehu is getting, people who are diving incredibly deep to kill him.
Right.
And is dying every time. maybe not intentionally, but is going to die. And then you've got two people separated from the rest of the team, and that worked out incredibly well at the end of that last fight. But I also think that there's a moment there where we were talking about Oswald and staggers when it comes down to that conversation. Sometimes you just got to die.
Yeah,
right?
Sometimes
running away will hurt you.
Dying is the correct play at that point. And I do think, as you said, when you're using so much mobility and so much of your kit to try and get this Neath in the back line, it does end up working better for your team at the end, right? Because even though Nehu was dying, it just seemed like, hey, we have two hunters anyway, because Kronos is a pseudo-hunter in that sense and does plenty of tower shred. It doesn't really matter because we're killing two off of the dive in the back line, and then we have our double carry that can just sort of run through the rest of your structures. And in this case, that left side Phoenix and then the Titan after the fact. And I do have to say, an absolute clinic. Every single time I watch Snatty, which no matter what team it is, it just seems like this guy knows how to get pressure in that lane. Like every single time. This Camazot's 3 levels up, and no matter the character it is, there's something about the farm on the right side of the map that hits different when Snatty's there.
In this case, it was, what, to the tune of 3 to 4 levels for majority of the game. Yeah, it just hit different. And let me be honest, that is not an easy feat over someone like Relentless One. And speaking of easy feat, Magic feat.
There it is.
6-1-9, 6-0-10 for Snatty. Absolutely disgusting right side of the map there for the Tanuki. Well played by them. 30,000 damage as well, Snatty. Calm down.
That's a good point. Just calm down. Just relax.
Like slow. Stop.
It's not that serious.
Take your hands off the keyboard for a second. Let them have something.
You could have done 25K and we still would have been impressed.
Yes.
You know, like at a certain point.
No matter what, there was a threshold of like at 15,000. I'm like, you know, like 6-1-10. You only did 15K. How many last hits you take?
Yeah.
20,000. Numbers line up.
Yeah.
25.
Like you're swinging. Nice.
Yeah. 30. That's too much.
Calm down.
Take your hands off the keyboard for a second.
Get some
Let
help.
them have something. let them take a fury, like a consolation prize. Like we know what you got. Just stop.
Yeah.
No, now I don't know, because what do you do about something that has that kind of performance? Do you ban it? Is it worth banning, or do you just deal with the fact that it's a Camazotz that's going to do well for it?
It's fair to assume that I think, like I said, every time I watch this team, I think Snatty does have a similar performance. But it's possible that Sino looked at that lane and said, hey, every time I go to gank, he's just going to go up in the sky and get out, so I'm not going to put any pressure towards there. So maybe they find some value in banning that. But I just don't imagine focusing the soul laner in this particular sense is gonna net that much in the long run.
Not a lot of value in that one. So we'll figure out what their adjustments are going to be. So we get into game number 2, picks and bans, and see how these teams are going to adapt. Warden, I believe, swapping over, taking first pick from the Tanuki. And, well, last time it was what? Daji, Amuz, and Cobb, Naja. We'll see what they end up changing here. If I'm the Wardens, and I see Naja is in a great meta position, I know that Sino's on our team and plays in the jungle, I think I know where something that I'd be more than willing to maybe let through.
Yeah, not banned in this sense, and it looks like actually Nehu's Neath, despite the fact that Sino was able to consistently get to the backline later on and sort of throw away his life to trade in that sense, still not something they want to deal with, and I think that's fair. The global presence, every time you go for a gank or anytime you're looking to go to the backline, you have a targeter on your head. You're like, wait, I didn't get Aegis this game. I don't want to get half health before the fight even starts. I don't want to be forced into a Magi selection, all of those things. Probably the reason for that ban, and actually the Yemoja being taken away as well. So that tells me, the Wardens are probably looking to grab the Naja here. I don't imagine that anything else would be, stealing more priority, right? It seems like that's going to be the case. And the Wardens played it perfectly, and they got what they wanted. Let's see if it's enough.
Now, here's where things fall apart for me. First, before I get into that point, actually, I do want to give credit to Hurry when, because the Tanuki actually this time banned out the Kabrakan.
Yeah.
Hurry just had a nuts game as a frontliner. I mean, the CC, considering what the first couple of deaths, the early focus that was on CCing that Kabrakan and locking him up, it was very impressive to see that turnaround from, okay, cool, you're the guy getting CC to now the guy dealing the CC, and good transition for them there. But on top of that, and going back to this Naja specifically, pick that lines up perfectly. It goes hand in hand with Sino. A lot of people have fond memories of it. A lot of other people also have negative memories of it, but because it's just so much better than what they'd like to deal with. With the buff recently, still, I think one of the top 2 picked gods last week in the SPL went 2-5. Did not win a lot of the games that he was in. And so that does kind of bring the question: is this Naja? I mean, it's Sino's Naja, so it has like a special element to it.
It's got a
like,
passive.
Is it good enough?
Well, I think, in my opinion, the Naja, it's like sort of nostalgia goggles, if you will. I think that the issues with Naja will always be the fact that his ult is just too easy to beads. So the fact that he's better is all well and good, and everyone wants to prioritize him, but he still has the same glaring issues. He's just really fun to play, and I feel like these junglers like playing Naja in that sense, and it's always fun to say you can't be given Sino Naja. So I don't think it's the end-all be-all pick. I certainly don't think it's like gonna carry every single game, but in the right hands, in the right situation, it can definitely succeed. So I think that's why the Wardens are putting so much prioritization towards it. Really am happy to see the Fafnir, however, though, because again, we did get to sit down with the Titans. I talked to Aurora. I was like, man, Fafnir can proc his spikes and then use his buff to give the spikes proc to his teammates. Like, how come Fafnir's not getting played more? And I was like, it's probably one of those things that he might be a little slept on. So I'm glad to see Hurry win. I think Hurry win anyways. I would assume it's going to the support role. Pulling out the Fafnir into this sort of double hunter style composition with the Chronos as well.
And honestly, I'm excited just to see how they work in tandem now with the Chernobog there. I mean, look, you're talking about big meta shifts that we've seen in the past. Double hunter plus Fafnir was like the thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to run double hunter, if it comes into the meta. Or if you're just playing it for the hell of it, Fafnir is almost always the immediate pickup for you because, hey, guess what? Coerce really good when you can get it onto 2 hunters. And in this case, you'll have a late game, theoretically, Chronos, depending on how the game goes, and a Chernobog to throw that onto. Feels like it's a really good combo.
Yeah, and it looks like we still are in a Vulcan meta, but it's a Moswall meta as well, as we get to see the last 2 picks. And, of course, Khepri making it to almost 10th pick in the draft.
Like most banned gods, but also
Athena taking the ban, and ahead of that, it looks like the Tanuki were more focused on beads burning for the Naja as opposed to a possible res. Not too much single target damage until, of course, the Fenrir just gets locked in, which is actually a lot of single target damage. It looks like they're just going for a more CC heavy comp on both sides of the spectrum.
And we'll see how well it ends up working out for him as we jump into game number 2. I almost said game number 1. Because I'm bad at math, as it turns out. Game 2 here between the Wardens and the Tanuki. And how exactly they're going to fare this time around. Sino on the Naja, Relentless One back on the Ratatosker. But it's hard to ignore Sino on Naja. That one, a lot of people will tell you that. But I'm instead looking at Moswall, specifically how he's going to play on this Vulcan pick. Because I'm very happy with what he's done in the past. And he just got buffed, so it feels like it should work out well.
So remember in set number 2 of the day when we were referring to, buying a starter item in a weird slot?
Who did it?
Well, me and you.
No, I meant who did it in this game.
No, it's
Why is it coming up?
Well, it's just the fact that Ratatosker, the Acorn, is pre-bought for you, so you can't really do that. But you can actually sell the Acorn because back when Boots were in the game, there was the speed potion that you could buy, and you had to be able to sell the Rat Acorn. So when you spawn in with Rat, you can sell the Acorn, buy a starter, and then rebuy it, and it'll go in the second slot. Just in case you were, upset about that starter item being in the wrong slot. If anyone wants to fix that, that's how you do it. Fun fact for you.
There's the fun fact. Or you could just do what Relentless One has done and ignore it entirely. It's good. Honestly, it's really interesting because and we have this discussion every now and then. But SMITE, like, one of the MOBAs where like tier 3s are the most important in this game.
Yeah.
And so builds like what Relentless One has right now, not very common to see, where it's just like tier 1, tier 1, tier 1. And we'll see how long that lasts. I have to imagine that we're going to be seeing a tier 3 somewhere there. So you also got to just learn to survive, man. Snatty is not giving up. Look, carries it over, 30,000 damage in the last game, undying, absolute menace in the lane. And apparently didn't get the memo that needed to stop. Might not have gotten the memo. There's a Naja in the game either. Does get the wave
Just drop the ward.
And yeah, we'll see Sino here. There's a Totem of Coup battle that'll go on between. Well, no, not even. Not a battle. He just leaves.
Yeah, it's one of those battles that you're never going to win. The ring bounce is just OP for trying to confirm the totem if you're standing next to it.
It's kind of smart to not get hit by that.
Yeah, whenever you stand next to the totem, it's just ding, and you're like, okay, I kind of regret going for this. So you can have the totem. Totem diff goes over to the Wardens, which means a little bit of extra gold, MP5, things like that in their favor. But at the very least, we're not seeing the cringe gank on a Snatty pre-level 3.
We mentioned some skin concepts. I think it was either last game or earlier today. Yeah, because we were talking about Discordia and the Disco ball.
Ordia, yeah.
Yeah. I want, and BizDev team, hit up the Who a
Okay.
pinball wizard Naja skin. Specifically because I think that pinball noise, you know, like when the ball's bouncing back,
Yeah.
for the ring toss would be amazing. And I think that's part of why ring toss feels so good. Is because it's like it's almost there, but I need a high score.
So would Naja be holding like one of the pinball paddles and then throwing a pinball? Would that be the weapon of choice?
That's you know what? That's an interesting question that I didn't think about.
Well, I mean, it's your skin.
I also
concept.
don't know how the sash is going to work.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine what the sash would
Or
be in that
the
sense.
ult to me is you run up and then you're in an arcade.
Yeah, of
and
course.
they're the ball. Now.
Yeah, you're seeing them bounce around between them.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You know what? You've got the start
I've
of
got
a very
like
good idea here,
parts of it here.
and we'll be able to make magic with it eventually. I hope, anyways.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what? The sash is a pinball track. Like you throw out the track.
Oh yeah. There you go. I mean,
They don't necessarily do that in real life because
No.
they're made of metal.
But in this case,
But
this is
Where it's video game land.
this is the battleground of the gods.
Anything passes.
Yeah, exactly. We can have whatever we want at this point. I mean, look at this lane. We got a polar bear bug fighting with an alien. You know, that's allowed. Look at that guy, and he's digging a little hole, a little burrow. And then there's this guy. I mean,
and then there's this guy.
and
Look at
you're
it.
telling me we can't
What's
have
your story?
You're telling me we can't have a pinball wizard Naja? I won't stand for it. I
It
will.
also doesn't need to. Well, I guess we could. I don't know how copyright laws work, but we could probably not have to have it sponsored by the Who, and just call it Pinball Wizard anyway. I don't know how that works though, and so hopefully someone with way better knowledge about stuff and the world can figure that one out.
Yeah.
But otherwise, Hockey Naja is my. It's my favorite because I like hockey. It's not my favorite to play. I rock the same one Sino is, and I could not tell you the name of it for the life of me. It's like the first Naja.
Yeah, that is like the first Naja skin I think that was ever created.
And there's a
maybe
good sash.
Actually, didn't have to use the beads there because DR, but Relentless One could be in some trouble. Wait, actually, should be just fine. And ticked over to level 5 at the perfect opportunity. No way.
No way.
I was gonna say no way you go back in, but you got 3 hops, so I understand. Just like maybe
Yeah.
just thinking about it for a
You
second.
give them the one hop. That's a threat hop.
Yeah.
The hops 2 and 3 are get me out of here.
Those 2 are gonna cost you. The first one's for free. The second 2 are gonna cost you. So a great gank attempt. Unfortunate for the Tanuki there. Ticks over level 5 at the opportune moment. And Relentless One doesn't really care about the Blackthorn Hammer just yet. Gonna actually upgrade the Acorn first. It's always interesting to see, you know, which one's more prioritized. Because of course you can buy the Acorn anywhere, so you can just buy it in lane if you'd like to. But you can only buy that Blackthorn Hammer at base, and it looks like Relentless One in particular focusing more on the Acorn, but more so than that Blackthorn Hammer early on.
Yeah, I think this is going to be interesting to see. Well, I guess not the Acorn he goes for, because most of the time that's pretty, not homogenized, but usually a single solid choice. Gino in a little bit of trouble. I don't think too much to be worried about. Scarab's Blessing is there. You've got a Fields of Love for Peel Griff. And he's going to try to make sure that this lane does not get out of hand. 5 minutes in, no first blood. Last game was kind of action-packed. I mean, there were fights all over the place. First blood still did take a little bit. But the CC chain started to hit. And speaking of CC chain, Snoopy looking for Sino. Sash going to go the other way. Sino is not going to be able to find the lockdown necessary. Gino's come over with a rotation. There's going to be Moswell with an ult's going to connect on 2. Snoopy getting relatively low. Ring bounce going to go through, slow some. Sino wants the blood, wants Snoopy rewind. It's going to keep him alive. Magic Feet up into the Fenrir ult, trying to find someone to grab, but it fades out just before he can lock down Moswell. And it seems like a lot of ults used, not a lot of kills had, as in 0.
That's a lot of ults, a lot of relics down. I mean, Sino did find the ultimate onto Snoopy, but as we talked about before, this game even started extremely easy to beads, and once that happens, you're not going to find the return damage. Snoopy got the rewind off and was able to join back. This is going to be an all-out brawl, and
Here it
Snatty
is.
can go to the sky,
Oh, no.
but not get underneath that tower, so we'll not be able to swoop in and finish that one off.
I've never been more certain of a first blood and then been that wrong about it.
Yeah, unfortunate that
That might not be true.
you just can't go that far. I mean,
We cast a lot of Smite. I'm sure I've been
I was going to say,
just as wrong about something else.
as of today, as far as you know, that's the most wrong, I suppose. And we wouldn't even have had to. You wouldn't even have told us because I couldn't tell. I thought you were confident he was gonna live.
Yeah, let's go with that one.
Yeah.
And everything. Hey, chat. What I just said over the last few minutes, it was a blatant lie. I was testing you.
You didn't see
Yeah.
anything.
I like the Jedi mind trick. They can't see you, but we'll see if it works. Man. Where do we jump back into this one? It'll be the Greater Scorpion for the Wardens. A little bit of a dash onto Magic Feet. Got to keep your eyes on Sino Chernobog's up in the air. Well, he's waving his arms like he just doesn't care because he comes crashing back down. Goes for mid-camps. Yeah, does not seem to have any worries or any...
Nehu just picked this Chernobog because they banned Neath. Like, I'm just going to use this like
what,
a Neath ult.
Yo, what if I had a global ult still?
Well, I'm just going to ult and then go back down. I'm not going to send myself there, but at least you're scared, right? You know the presence of the Chernobog. The nightmare could ensue. It's not going to, but it could.
There's no... And call me out on this if I'm wrong, but if no one can see the Chernobog himself, there's no real way for you to know if he's still up or not, right? Because the clones are hanging around afterward. So you could go up, down. And is there a visual indicator? I can't even remember if I've been...
There's not a visual indicator, but what happens is Chernobog has to fly to someone on the map. So you usually see a Chernobog face zoom to whoever it is. So if you're paying attention to the map, you're going to notice...
And you don't see him zoom.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if the comms are bad, you're going to be like, so did he go to you? Like, you didn't go to me. You didn't go to me. What? Like, he just up, down. So that could happen, I suppose. But
I guess there's definitely the calm thing that I kind of forgot these guys are talking to each other.
Yeah.
And hey, a solo kill potentially happening. There it is. Snatty
100%
finally
confirmed.
Getting himself the first blood.
Gore knew it.
Control of the solo lane. It just took 8 minutes longer than I expected it to happen. I mean, just the way that this lane started out, Trelly, it was only a matter of time. He was continually running at Relentless One, just like Griff is being run at right now. Surprise. Snoopy and Moswell let that one fall to the wayside. But it seems because they have better things in their eyes. Looking for the Scepter. They're going to scoop that one up for themselves.
Bigger fish to fry. And in this case, it's the Indra Scepter. Hurrywin wants to be the big dragon on campus, just doing a bunch of damage. And honestly, I don't blame him because they were able to do a fair bit of damage to Griff specifically, but the kill potential after your hammer's down, and it didn't look like Snoopy really had the mana to try and chase that one. Sometimes you just gotta let it go by the wayside. But farm-wise, I do think Moswell on the Vulcan has been doing quite well, just getting the XP as much as possible, using that turret to traverse the map. Well, the turret doesn't traverse the map. The turret stays stationary, but using the turret to get farm while Moswell traverses the map.
Can you imagine if the turret had legs?
I don't want to imagine that, but I certainly could.
Now I can only think of them all, the memes. If the turret had legs, would they look like this or this? And like, the only ones I can think of is like old pinup model legs that are just like egregiously out of place on an otherwise like really metal war-esque turret.
In Paladins, could you put Barrack's turret on the payload and push it?
I think it fell off.
Oh, unfortunate. Well,
there were some things that you could place in front of the payload, and the payload would push it. Luna was one of those, where it was a deployable wolf for one of the healers. And it, for a while, I think they've changed this, but for a while it qualified as an entity to push the payload. And so you could place it in front of the payload would start pushing, and it would carry Luna with it, and just make it halfway there while your team was fighting elsewhere.
Well, I was trying to think of some way that we could make a mobile turret, but it looks like that's not.
That's Baba Yaga's house. That's a mobile turret.
That's fair. It doesn't do damage until you use it.
Trebuchet is a literal mobile turret. Come on, Trelly. There's tons of mobile turrets.
All right. I'm just talking about weird-legged ones, but it doesn't matter at this point.
Would it have spider legs or 2 legs? No, it doesn't matter. We can instead jump into the game. Pyromancer getting taken down. Tanuki trying to find themselves a solid lead. And this is how it went last time, Trelly. I mean, it was very slow in terms of well, at first, gold and kills. This time, it's faster in gold and in kills. Or at least experience, I should say, not kills. 1,000 each in favor of the Tanuki. 2 levels of that is sitting in the solo lane, and that's where a majority of the lead is.
Yeah, and once Snatty decides to rotate, once again, it could be disastrous. But Relentless One's out of mana. Why is there no sort of rotation put over? I see why, because Sino could be in some trouble. Actually, just going to give up the camps in that regard. As we see, I'm imagining a trading of ults unless Snoopy can't get behind the minions, but actually it has enough lifesteal alone to not even have to rewind in that situation. So
I'm impressed.
Fields of Love gonna be down. Snoopy keeps his cool, doesn't really care about beats or rewinding, and now that the fight could be going a little bit more in his favor, but since we already discussed it, there's just not too much aggression to be had at the moment. The Tanuki are in the driver's seat, so I'm gonna say the same exact thing I said last time. Get aggressive when Snatty decides to leave lane. Up until that point, I don't see any reason to force any fights.
If I'm honest, 3 times in that last sentence, I thought you were going to go back to the turret. I was so certain that you're like, I'm going to say what we said last time. and it should be Spider or something like that. But no, instead, you made an excellent point, and I threw it down the trash. I'm so sorry. Relentless One in a little bit of trouble in solo lane. Snatty just will not let them be when it comes down to pressure on the right-hand side of the map. Only kill that's happened in the game has happened over there. It seems like Snatty wants to make it happen again. Gold Fury talks have to be on the table. Pyromancer already taken down. So there's only one real objective to try and go for. Snatty going for a different type of objective. Those tower shots being a little bit too much. There's going to be a great Sino ult into an ult from Vulcan. Unfortunately for her, he's been on the receiving end of 2 or 3 of these in each game. And this time around, it's a kill onto the support and an open pull onto the Gold Fury. Magic Feet can see it. Snoopy will be rotating in. So will Nehu. And it's the commit from the Wardens. They're going to try to go for it, jump in. The Wardens are going to secure this one, but can they get away with their lives? Maybe it's a too much separation for the Tanuki. Beads had to be used by Magic Feet. Brutalize used for a disengage. Fields of Love potentially going to re-engage this fight for the Wardens. Snatty's made his rotation. He's in the back line. Snoopy gets eliminated by Griff. Now they're going to see if maybe Snatty can balance this one out. It doesn't look good for him, though. The CC is there. Bat out of hell has to get him out of there. So that is a good couple of pickups, 2 kills, maybe a little more if Relentless One can find his way into the back line. No, just shy. 2 kills, plus a Fury, and a good swing to the Wardens.
I mean, wow, I did not expect Hurrywin to die off of just the one ult combo there. It was probably just a little bit too weak for wear before even going up into the Windfire wheels at that point, but still, Snatty makes the rotation over. Just too much DPS onto that objective is now... It looks like Relentless One was trying to get a little bit too cheeky in the jungle and we'll have to back off, but the gold lead still in favor of the Tanuki, of course, even after that gold figure goes down. But Snoopy, I'm going to guess, does not have beads considering this group up. Let's see if they can blow him up off this turn.
Now this is...
Heartbump's going to go up in the air.
2, 3, lands, Aegis, and there's the auto. Griff is the one who ends up lacing that one through to get the kill. And I like that that one wasn't a can Snoopy escape. It was more just when's the kill going to happen, I think, between those two. Unfortunate for them that it falls down that way. I can't think of a time. When was the last time we came over here and it felt like the 2 solo laners had equal health bars? Relentless One is just constantly getting bullied.
Yeah, it just seems like Rat does not exist in the lane at the moment and try and steal away as much farm as possible, but Relentless One does have to go up into the sky. Sino's on the way back, though. Doesn't have the ultimate, but could help get aggressive onto Magic Feet. It looks like Ragnarok gets used, and now Naja's in some trouble.
That's going to be the run away from Sino. Jump from Magic Feet might end up costing him his life. Pulls back from the tower before the shots can come through. Relentless One, no way to get out of here there. Nehu is able to find one hit in there. Make sure it goes their way. Sino managed to back away. Gino, Moswall in the neighborhood, but they're not going to try to do anything here. The Tanuki come in, get the kill, get out.
And that's the call, right? Just get in, get out. Pyromancer's about to spawn back in. Seems like the smart idea, because I just feel like there was just a little bit too much aggression a second ago, and now you're looking at a pretty big XP differential on the left side of the map, right? Snoopy sitting at level 12, died sort of back-to-back, used relics, and sitting at 0-2 at the moment. You would love to help out your carry in this situation. You would love if someone could get over to that duo lane. Magic Feet probably in this case, and just say, hey, I can alleviate some of that pressure and let this Chronos get online. But at the moment, there's a Pyromancer up, and I think that's going to be a little bit more worth, so sorry, Snoopy. Actually, Snoopy's going to come over and say, you know what, my lane's not fun. I'll help you guys with a Pyromancer at the very least.
Yeah, clear up mid lane, get some experience where you can, where there's not 2 people looking to just murder you on cooldown, and instead, find a kill onto Gino. This is going to be a good pickup for them. There's the Scarab's Blessing, and on top of that, the damage afterward, plus Snoopy gets the credit.
They got the dragon.
It's still going to be 3 down. The dragon's here, and they've got 2 carries. Relentless One is going to spot this out. Fire Giant. Started by the Tanuki. Will they commit to it? The answer is no. They immediately pull away from that one.
Yeah, I was going to say, once they spot Moswell, this has to go off, but still, up into the sky. Just trying to defend his own blue buff. Oh no, it doesn't look like there's going to be any sort of fight after the fact as Hurrywin de-transforms, and Relentless One loses the blue buff.
Now it's going to be an engage over here. Up into the sky for Hurrywin, and that's going to be a clean kill. Snoopy barely gets that rewind off, but stays alive. Up into the sky goes the Chernobog. Comes crashing back down. Around Sino. Looking for some damage. Snatty might be in some trouble. A little bit of healing here is going to help him out. Well, this one doesn't have the ult, so there's no big close gap other than the dash. That's going to come up. It's going to give enough of a slow. He's going to chase down Snatty. Finally, the tables have turned, but unfortunately, Bat Out of Hell gets a little bit of a gap away. Snatty's going to stay alive.
Yeah, you could tell the Relentless one really wanted to get aggressive there and just, at the very least, find a blue buff or something. But now it's time for the Wardens to make a pull on a Fire Giant. This is immediately caught out by Magic Feet, and I don't think there's any big burst to confirm at this point. Moswell's ultimate is down for a little bit longer.
That's going to be Magic Feet going in immediately onto Moswell. He wants the Vulcan, and instead it's the fire on the Fire Giant. Tanuki, come in! Snatty is able to secure that one. Moswell gets the kill onto the solo laner, but who cares? You got the buff, but the team has to get out. Magic Feet still alive, use the ult, and wants the disengage. Nehu, low half health, Sino with a sash, the beads are used, the stun is good from Snoopy, and they're trying to create some distance, but no, Griff is running forward. Griff and Sino going together to make sure they can find the kills necessary. Drop Snoopy into the ground, into the dirt, and they find a three-man swing.
I mean, the Tanuki steal Fire Giant there, but they were just not able to get out. They still have a massive goal. Well, not even massive at this point. It's shrinking by the second, but still, the game on paper, heavily in favor for the Tanuki, but now it's time for the Wardens to come back. They get Fire Giant off 3, so still Hurrywin and Magic Feet have access to the buff, no one else, but all the buffs on the left side of the map should be taken. The Oni Fury is going to go in favor of the Wardens as well, and it looks like a possible chance at the tier 2, but Sino and Gino definitely going to back up after the fact because the rest of the team is not following. So a great steal. You got to give props to Snatty for getting in there. It didn't seem like the fight after the fact was the best option. Magic Feet, I also think you got to give some props to for picking up Moswell, the big burst damage to confirm that objective, and just pulling him away from the Fire Giant, saying, like, I'm not letting you confirm this at the very least. We're trying to get aggressive as much as possible. But now, even with Fire Giant on 2, I think the Warden's definitely in the driver's seat here, especially if you're playing off of Griff. That's a 5-0 Cupid that has been consistently getting to the back line, like no joke, dashing in towards the back and just landing those heart bombs. Just bought a full kin size, by the way. So tons of DPS coming out from the duo lane of the Kaolin Wardens. Throw a Kepriol onto that. Yeah, I think your fight's looking pretty solid.
My favorite part of these is always looking at the power play chart and seeing things like that. Minus 2,300 gold diff. Because you stole it, and then you lost a whole lot afterward, unfortunately for the Tanuki. So things are still spreading in favor of the Warden. Snoopy just cannot catch a break.
Oh.
Sino is going to whiff the ult just barely. And that's going to give an opening for them. Vulcan ults deep. He's going to be able to get some burst Hurrywin. He's going to end up falling down here. Relentless one salvaged from the grave by Gino. And now 5 strong for the Wardens, pushing on the tier 2 and left. It's a 4v5, no hurry to try and bolster their defenses. The rest of the team standing stalwart against them. 19 minutes in. Only one Fire Giant buff still remaining on the board, and that's over for the Tanuki. And Magic Feet's not going to be doing the aggressing anytime soon. Maybe looking for something in the jungle as he jumps on this Relentless one, of all people. Is pulling Sino away from the tower. Might just be playing distraction.
Yeah, it seems like just trying to stall out until the rest of the team can join back, but Sino isn't here to be distracted, trying to go for this kill. A stun not on the table as Snatty actually forced up into the Bat Out of Hell over on the left side of the map. This tier 2 tower, though, which is the prize that the Wardens are after, looking pretty healthy, and Hurrywin's already back in at this point. So remember, Fire Giant buff is not here for the Wardens. They're just going for this tier 2 tower because they have a fed Cupid at this point. Magic Feet is still the only one with Fire Giant for 40 more seconds.
This is where things get really awkward, Trelly, because kill-wise does not look great for the Tanuki. Experience-wise, if you cover the top 4, doesn't look great, right? Snoopy's down 3 levels, but everywhere else, it's not that egregious, right? I mean, if you look at the gold, you look at the most of the levels, it's not a really hard lost game just yet for them, right? Things have not been going well in the team fights, and unfortunately that has brought some trouble to Snoopy. Maybe this is where they can find the turnaround. Rewind going to be good to keep Snoopy alive. Damage has been thrown the other way. Up onto the tree is Relentless one. The rest of the Wardens trying to disengage. Where will they go? There's the knock-up. No, Snoopy! Poor Snoopy! Just once again knocked up into his own demise. And now the numbers advantage is back for the Wardens.
I mean, Magic Feet was trying to think whether to go in there. The rest of the team was also considering it. But now the sprint has been popped, and Relentless one diving to the back line. Guess what? Kepriol's back up.
And now they need this damage. They need these kills if you're the Tanuki, and you have to find them here. You still lose 1, but the damage seems to be there. Nehu into the wall, keeps himself alive. alive, and Snatty comes up big. They find 3 kills and a shutdown on the Wardens now, looking for a little bit more. Moswell chased away, triple kill for the solo laner, maybe looking to make it 4 if he can collapse in on Sino. He gets the hit, he gets the 4th, and 5, 1, and 3 for the Camazotz. Snatty makes the defense.
I mean, at this point, you would love if Snoopy could get those kills, but I'm just going to say that's the best member of this team to get a quadra kill. Not only are you getting 4 kills, which is massive for the gold spike, as well as the fact that Fire Giant spawning in 2 seconds. You get a 5-0, probably, 6-0 shutdown, I think, at that point. There for Griff, which is huge gold in the pocket of Snatty. Finishes the Sundering Axe, builds a full Brawler's Beatstick, and now Fire Giant's getting pulled up. And unless Relentless One can get in there, I was going to say, doesn't even have the teleport available, so that should be a relatively free objective. But it actually goes up into the sky, so now Nehu could be in some trouble. Hides in the wall, but got hit out. He's going to be in trouble.
Yeah, he has to be careful. Up into the air, where do you go?
If you're in this
instance, where do you go? Yeah, you're just going to come crashing back down. Your team will get the Fire Giant. No, he goes into the base. He's just going to play wild goose chase. Keeps him distracted as the Fire Giant secured by the Tanuki. You have to think, yes, it's unfortunate. Your turnabout, great recipient for the Fire Giant buff. But this swing, otherwise, Trelly, even gold, even experience before that fight starts out. And now things, well, still glum for Snoopy specifically, but otherwise, raging in favor of the Tanuki, especially that gold. Almost 5,000 swing in their favor.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the Wardens, the Tanuki rather in this case, Nehu, is just sticking to the script. I mean, last game, the Tanuki were overwhelming ahead, but Sino just kept killing Nehu, and then Snoopy would take all the objective damage.
And then for a lot of this game, he wasn't dying, and guess what? They weren't ahead.
Yeah, so Nehu realized, guys, I have to put matters into my own hands. Sino is only 1-1 at this point, hasn't been confirming a lot of kills, mostly getting assists. I'm going to have to put myself out of position so we can continue this power dynamic. Snoopy, hopefully you can take care of the towers. I'm going to go back to base. I don't need this Fire Giant buff. And now it's time for the Tanuki to actually do some pushing of their own. There are some waves pushed up at this point in the left and right side of your screen that need to be dealt with, but Snatty juking out the Abducted, I don't even think taking any sort of damage at the moment. It was just really Gino trying to get aggressive onto the Camazotz, and for good reason. This Camazotz has been extremely disruptive to the backline, and a pick, some beads down, pretty much any sort of aggression onto this bat before the fight starts would have been massive, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Holding on to both relics, and looks about full HP to me.
This is going to be an interesting defense. Tier 2 tower in mid does not have a lot of health to try and defend. And it seems like it might be a distraction. Snatty, Nehu, someone over here has to be the target, because Snoopy was solo pushing over on left. Seems to be the engage here. Maybe a separation too much from the Wardens. They're going for Gino, and if they can get that ultimate, that's going to be a big pickup for them. Whether or not they even get the kill, that ult just being offline is a huge win. Gino forced to fall back. A little bit of sustain from the Cupid helps keep things going. Snatty immediately looking for the loop around. Not going to find what he's looking for here, but the team still gets the tier 2 and starts to push forward.
2 tier 2 towers still left standing on the left and right side of the map. I don't imagine this mid Phoenix is where the team wants to make a stand, but Relentless One is going to go in and try and get a little bit aggressive, just stall this out. Remember, Fire Giant sits for about 1:30 left. If you're going to make a stop, it's at these Phoenixes. I don't imagine defending this tier 2 is heavy on the minds of the Kaolin Wardens, just trying to get a little bit of extra poke beforehand. And it looks like that is going to be the call. Snatty just fighting Relentless One, a solo lane in the mid lane, whereas actually the rest of the team is trying to collapse here on a magic feed. Just stalling out, just waiting before the Tanuki decide to start this fight on their own accord on the left side of the map.
Sino sitting around mid, Relentless One joining them. Oswald has that ult. That one's going to be the one I think could be crucial for a defense. Nice narrow corridors into the Phoenix. All you need is a little bit of CC and one well-placed shot, and that is a lot of damage that the Tanuki could be eating here. Only have 45 seconds left on the power play. Finally, some numbers that are going in their favor as well. That'll make this look a little better for them afterward. Snatty's in a little bit of trouble, so it's definitely going to be a retreat from the mid lane. Left Phoenix takes a little bit of poke as well. Nothing too crazy just yet from either squad.
Yeah, Sino does blinkle, but just gets the beads down and out. I mean, Windfire Wheels is down, so that big CC you were talking about, trying to confirm Moswell's ult, I mean, one of those tools is definitely down. You still have a couple other options here. Gino could hit a clutch root into an abduct, and or Griff has the ultimate as well. I think there's plenty of tools left, but actually Fields of Love goes down, grabs the beads from Snoopy, and Gino actually misses the abduct.
Yeah, and that might be a good turnaround. Well, potential. They get the stun. The Fire Giant buff's wearing off for the Tanuki here. So now with, what, 7,000 gold, just shy of the 7,000, they're going to fall back. Pyromancer's going to come up here in a couple of seconds. Fire Giant pretty much lined up near that timer. Otherwise, it's jungle buffs, minions, and just some spending to do galore.
And I mean, that's really what you need at this point, right? Because the first siege did not work. So at this point, you're happy with that Fire Giant, but I imagine the Tanuki wanted to break the base there. It's not such an overwhelming lead that you can just walk in and get everything that you need at this point. So that seems to be the call. Try and get as much vision as you can. Unfortunately, Gino walked all the way over to Fire just for Snatty to immediately counter that ward. But keep an eye on the beats timers, because Sino has hit some clutch ultimates, hasn't really taken anyone up for a kill in quite some time. But Nehu doesn't have beats for a little bit longer, and Snoopy's beats just went down. So the Wardens have a clear target in mind. If you can get this Chronos Sash to ult, there's really no time to rewind between then. The egg is up, but if timed properly, Moswell's 100 to 0ing you off Wind Fire Wheels every single time. So I think that's going to be the call here. That's why the Tanuki might actually be playing on the back foot for at least the start of this Fire Giant pull, because they know some key targets on their team have beats down.
Magic Feet's deep, though. Wondering whether or not we'll see a repeat. Last time jumped in, did not get a kill on the Moswell, but had a target in mind, and it was that Vulcan. So far, does not seem to be the goal. Instead, it's just farming up in mid. Nothing too out of the ordinary. It's definitely going to be aware for the rest of the team. In fact, this one may be going to zone out even further. Pyromancer goes the way of the Wardens. They get themselves a greater Scorpion. And it makes an awkward Fire Giant dance. The Wardens are behind but have the better secure. The Tanuki ahead, but do not like their odds at taking a fight right now, as you highlighted. And so it makes it a very interesting dance indeed. Now it's just going to be who essentially it's who either steps out of spot first, out of position, or makes the better engage.
I mean, I would not be surprised if Snoopy hides in that mist for 34 seconds, waits until his beads are up, and then steps out and they get aggressive. If you take a look, he's still hiding in the invisibility over there, as Magic Feet actually does get aggressive up, but now Magic Feet's beads are going to be down for quite some time. Nehu does go up into the sky trying to peel for the jungle, but I think that's the small win that the Wardens were looking for. Now you've got a target for the next 2.5 minutes, and it could be a lot harder for the Wardens to try, or the Tanuki rather, to try and pull onto this Fire Giant. But Relentless One goes up into the sky.
This one is going to be there. Hurry One seems to be the target right now. They go not the knock-up, and instead Hurry One's going to go for the ult. They do have the follow-up, though. Fields of Love, the Vulcan ult, all crashing down. Hurry's health just disappears, and it leaves them in a 4v5. Magic Feet, Snatty, Nehu, Snoopy, all still healthy, all good mana. Do they go for the fight? Do the Wardens go for the Fire Giant? Right now, the answer seems to be no. Snatty on their own is just trying to deal damage. Relentless One almost gets taken out. Snatty's just trying to stay alive. There's the bat out of hell on the 3. It's not a lot of damage, but it's still wild to hit all those targets. Falls back. Magic Feet with a loop around. If this is where they want to get aggressive, this is where they want to fight, then you got to do it. You have to imagine they're looking for something here. But no, Trelly, it seems like this is going to be the turnaround one more time. It's the Wardens who are starting to win this dance. Bead used by Nehu. Magic Feet retreats. And just as I think nothing's going to happen, there's going to be Sino. Goes in, gets the ult on his health bar. Make sure he comes back alive. Snoopy goes down one more time. The kills are starting to ring true for the Wardens. Magic Feet put down into the ground. Snatty, last one staying from this engagement. Nehu just backed. So Snatty's going to stick around. Fire Giant should be the call for the Wardens.
I mean, Nehu does have ultimate coming up here soon. Snatty's sticking around, and Hurrywin makes his way back from base. But something to note, Moswell should never get out confirmed in a situation like this. You have all the burst in the world, and it looks like Hurrywin and Snatty are looking for kills. They're not looking to go to that Fire Giant.
Yeah, they're looking to go deep and find whatever they can. There's the Fields of Love, but immediately it's Moswell who's the target for Snatty. Snatty is closing the gap a little bit there. Snoopy, Nehu, everyone trying to throw out their damage for Snoopy. Spending his time dead right now. Snatty not able to do too much, but the cleanup from Nehu, it's a double kill. It's a triple kill for the mid laner, and he might lose his life, but it's worthwhile. Slows down the Wardens and stops them in their tracks.
They can't do it, no way. I was going to say, if Griff and Sino try to pull this EFG, I mean, Snoopy and Magic Feet should be able to make their way over. So that's a wash. I mean, at this point, yeah, massive kills on the board, but It's a 2v2 for upwards of 30 seconds, and I don't think that's going to be any more aggression from either one of these teams. Oni Fury has spawned in. The gold lead still in favor of the Tanuki, but at this point, everyone's trickling over to full build, so it's not going to matter too much. This is enhanced Fire Giant territory, Gore. It really just depends on who is able to find this pick, and if you want to look for someone who's finding picks, keep your eyes on Sino. Consistently been able to find beads on the key targets, and at the very least, getting to that backline with the help of Najino with that Scarab's Blessing, and just making everyone's lives miserable. I'm going to continuously watch Sino to see if if he gets 0 value out of an ultimate, then yeah, the Tanuki's fight's looking pretty good. If he doesn't, I'm not liking their odds the way that these fights have been going thus far. At the very least, though, no EFG has been pulled, and it looks like it will just be a true 5v5 once again. Just keep your eyes on the relics once again, because Moswell's sitting for none for about over a minute and 20 seconds.
I will have to say, and credit to Griff, because highlighted by Nehu, because it's a defensive play, a stopping play. Still got a triple kill, 11, 1, and 4 for the Cupid. Just has to be shouted out because of this performance. Like, admittedly, the Wardens really could just be replaced with Griff. Like, I mean, it is just Griff right now. There's help all around, and of course, they're all doing a lot of work to make sure it works out. But reaping the benefits is going to be Griff with such an insane slash line. Fire Giant was started up there shortly for the Wardens, but they're not going to hold on to it. Instead, once again, back to the same old song and dance, trying to figure out where that first pick is. You mentioned it's still a little while for those relics to come up for Moswell.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone can get to the backline and get to Moswell, you're definitely forcing out the ult there. But Sino does go to the backline and gets beat. Relentless One is so weak here.
Yeah, forced to go up into the air. Sino stays alive, but if they can wait out the Scarab's Blessing, it's going to be perfect for them. Relentless One comes crashing down onto Hurry. Hurry has a stun and stays alive. Snoopy finally able to get his hands on the steering wheel this game. Gets a kill. Now it's a leap forward. The Tanuki surging into the Wardens. They're going to slow their roll. Fall back slightly, they get the kill on the Moswell, they force relics, they force ults, now they can maybe force an FG or at least a Pyromancer for their squad.
Yeah, the second that Scarab's Blessing went down, Moswell became the biggest target on the block. Magic Feet knew that, picks him up, brings him back to the team, and now you're in a 5v4 situation with the best burst on the map, probably belonging to Snoopy at this point. So as long as they can play off of this Chronos, the poly procs are going to be swinging, and they have to keep their eye on where Relentless One is. It looks like the pull could be starting up soon, but more interested in the fight are the Tanuki as finally Hurrywin goes in that Draconic Transformation. He's going to drop the Coerce and look to start burning this.
This is going to be the question. Fire Giant or fight? 10 seconds before Moswell respawns. Gives you a little bit of time to work with. Magic Feet falls back. The rest of the Wardens trying to find their opening. Instead, Griff right now is getting soloed out by Snatty. That's going to be a massive kill, 11, 2, and 4, but they finally shut down the Cupid. It doesn't even matter if Snatty dies through this one, and it doesn't look like he's going to go down without a fight. The sustain is insane, but they finally get rid of him. It's 1 for 1, but now the cavalry is here, and the Tanuki are able to find 3.
I mean, Snatty just did so much damage. Gino doesn't have enough CDR to get the Scarab's Blessing off. It still isn't back up, but Moswell has returned, and Shaker is here. And now it's time for the Tanuki to run back to base, get full HP, and finally make an attempt at this enhanced Fire Giant. They've got no contention for the next 30 seconds for Griff to be back up, 40+ seconds for Relentless One and Sino. It is not going to be easy. As long as some pressure is put onto Moswell here, I imagine this enhanced Fire Giant should be going down freely. But the problem is, Snatty's gone. Magic Feet has to become the zoner. And here it comes, just Moswell versus the Wardens. And they've got to know he's here.
Yeah, the ult's up.
There it is, that's
There's the vision. And then now they know it's going to be a little safer for them. Magic Feet's not taking any chances, though. But hold on. What if? That is going to make sure that there's a little extra space for them. Fire Giant should fall down here. They're waiting for Snatty on top of that, which is just a kind gesture.
Just good teammates.
Gesture for the Tanuki, yeah. 6, 3, and 9. Makes sense. Based on what Snatty's done, he deserves the EFG. So I'm happy they give it to him. They have a Trebuchet over there. Pyromancer goes their way. Fire Giant on 5. And maybe if they wanted an Oni Fury, that's just sitting there waiting to be taken for the Tanuki as well. But they back, they buy. And Trelly The Wardens are looking at the end of a barrel right now, trying to figure out how to get back into this.
Yeah, this is the play that usually happens when you feel as if the game's a little bit out of your grasp. The group, and just look for a gank around the corner, right? You hide in the mist, see if anyone can walk up, try and get a pull by Gino. But I do have some good news and some bad news if you're a Tanuki fan. That miracle opportunity for Snatty to solo out Griff is long gone because double relics and Scarab's Blessing are available, and for some reason none of those things all lined up when Snatty went to the backline last time. So I don't imagine that miracle situation is going to occur, but Enhanced Fire Giant sort of takes everything away, right? That's just so much extra damage. The backdoor protections are all gone for these Phoenixes, and you've got a Chronos on your side. So look at that damage. That Phoenix almost got 2 shot.
It has to be very careful. Relentless One Sino trying to go in. Magic Feet up into the air. And the damage, it's not enough. They need some sort of follow-up, and they've got it. Monswall. Credit for the kill on the Magic Feet, but the Tanuki are not going to let that be the end of it there. Still aggression. Snatty, Snoopy, and Nehu leading forward. Sino goes down, and they're looking for the 2-0. They can smell it on the horizon here, Chelly, but they have to play it patiently. Can't go onto the Phoenixes just yet. Too much damage, mainly from the gods surrounding them. Like he said, too much damage can be dealt from the other side. Snoopy, 3, 5, and 2. Not a great slash line, but has absolutely been just a benefactor to this team in the late game. Snatty, no, he's going to get eliminated. And now the Wardens are feeling a lot more confident about their abilities to defend here.
And now Relentless One is going to get eliminated as well. Hurrywin is about to de-transform, so has to back up. Nehu doing a ton of damage. He's going to return the kill to Gino. You don't have the ult up. He's going to go down. If the Odie mode proc is going in, it looks like Earthshaker's off the mark.
Now Griff just, look, Griff, I don't know whether he wants to protect his KDA or protect his team. 11, 2, and 7 looks even better now. The damage almost there from Moswell, but a brilliant dash from
just
Nehu.
Snoopy.
And yeah, Snoopy with the health bar, with the damage. You just got to get the Phoenix. And there's the last auto. They get one in their favor. What a wild back and forth.
For one
Phoenix between the two teams.
I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Like that miracle situation where Griff dies before the fight starts just isn't going to happen anymore. Held onto that Aegis throughout the entirety. You know, the Scarab's Blessing, as long as it's up, I would argue needs to be used on Griff at this point, just doing so much damage. But now, the Tanuki are going to back up with their Enhanced Fire Giant, with their Oni Fury, and with their one Phoenix down. And they get to think about how they want to try and break this phase next time, because it's just been a long-winded brawl to get that one Phoenix. Still a minute left on the Enhanced Fire Giant, so there's the possibility of a regroup, but you're not pushing with the buff at that point. You're going to be running off pretty much exactly as you get towards the Phoenix. So it looks like, once again, the Wardens are going to line up and try and find those targets without beads, which is all of them except for Magic Feet. Anyone but the Fenrir, if they get sashed by Sino, I do expect to see an insta-kill at that point, but the Tanuki are sticking together, and they're trying to find a pick of their own. This time, Relentless One dashes out from the Unchained, and it's going to be a grouping 5v5 over here in the jungle.
I also have to be worried about the timer, right? Beads coming up for Snoopy here now. Nehu has theirs as well, so that's 3 people who can now suddenly deal with Sino a little bit easier. You do have Scarab's Blessing from Gino. This one might need it. Barely gets up into the tree. And he's going to go for the engage. There's a knock-up immediately onto Nehu, but that might be a mistake instead. Brutalize follows for a little bit. There's the Scarab's Blessing off the mark. And unfortunately for Relentless One, he's going to time out just in time for Snoopy to pick up a kill. 4v5 now in favor of the Tanuki. Fire Giant buff is gone. Tier 2 on right still exists, but not for much longer. And they've got an Oni minion wave here, Trelly. It feels like they could get aggressive, but it's so difficult, right? Fire minions in mid, no Fire Giant to work with, and you still got decent clear on the side of the Wardens to ward off this fight.
I mean, just protect Snoopy at this point. He will 3-shot that Phoenix, and it looks like Snatty recognizes that wave you were talking about and should be able to grab this left Phoenix if left alone. Magic Feet is going to take the 1v1 versus Sino as that right side bird falls down.
Yeah, 2 separate, trying to defend too much. And it's going to open up at least 1 Phoenix on the right. Now 1 on the left, and with mid already down, that's 3 gone for the Wardens. Tanuki are going to back off here. Fire Giant coming back. Oh, shortly. But it's still going to take just a little bit before it can really culminate into a fight. I mean, at this point, 3 Phoenixes down. Fire minions in mid, soon to be in left and right. When the Fire Giant respawns, not only is it enhanced, Trelly, but it feels very important Do you just take the stand here if you're the Wardens? I mean, is this like the Hail Mary you have to make the play happen?
I mean, I think grouping up and looking for a pick is certainly the idea, and that's what Sino and Gino are going to look for at the moment. They're going to try and find someone without beads, but unfortunately, Snatty might be the first one that walks up, and that's not a great target, and neither is Hurrywin with the Magi Shelter. So unless someone gets revealed early on, there's certainly a possibility that the Tanuki are onto this, because guess what? No one's clearing those fire waves, and that's definitely a little something peculiar at this point. So Gino is just going to zone while Relentless One pulls this. They're going for the EFG.
That's going to get burned quickly. There's the Fields of Love. There's the Volcano. Wardens are going to get the Fire Giant, but what can they do with it? Sino is alone with Relentless One deep inside the team fight, but there's the Scarab's Blessing. Gets him out of here, keeps him alive. Magic Feet eats a little bit of damage in return. This feels like a good win for the Wardens. Hurrywin transforms, jumps in with Magic Feet. They find Relentless One alone, but it's Hurry who goes down. Relentless One dashes out and stays alive. 5 still standing for the Wardens with the Fire Giant around their belt. And it feels like it's a small win, but a win nonetheless. Now, they just got to deal with everything else that's pouring into the base.
I mean, it's going to be a while before the Wardens can do anything with this enhanced Fire Giant, because they have to worry about 3 waves of fire minions. I mean, I would be surprised.
Trebuchet.
Yeah, I mean, I would be surprised at this point if they got to ward up, too, because with the amount of damage, Snoopy could probably 1v1 the Titan. So at this point, I'm carrying a Sentry Ward with me at all times and pushing out together as a unit.
Also, Kaolin Wardens looking for a Twitter hashtag, ward up. That's sick.
That is pretty dope.
So I like that.
Can we see the amount of wards placed? I'm kind of curious. Okay, so Sino, they're at the bottom. They don't even ward, man. Look at that. Sino's got 7.
Ward down.
Yeah, ward. Everyone, their fans can ward up, but not them. I mean, they don't continue to ward. They're just sitting in the back line at this point.
I'd have to look at it again. Hurry might have had more wards individually than 4 of them put together, right? 15, 12 puts us at 27. Give it. Okay, well then you get the 9. That puts us at 36.
It's close enough that the fact that it even needs to be
that
said.
someone has to sit there and do the math. Then 3 of the members guaranteed, and then of course Gino at least keeping pace for some of those.
They're defending the Titan. Yeah, this is smart, because at this point, again, Snoopy could 1v1 that Titan, so definitely a smart call here for the Wardens to just sit in the back line, and you can't push out. I mean, your base is too susceptible to dying. There's just no way that you're going to be able to push with this enhanced Fire Giant for such a long time. 1 pick, that Titan dies. 2 members get to the Titan, and you're not there, that Titan dies. It's a very difficult situation to try and come back from. If anyone steps up just a little bit too far, that could be the end of your game. So I think the Wardens are playing this slow, but it's because they have to.
And honestly, it's looking for those small windows where they could try to find the opportunity. There's still 3 towers standing for the Tanuki. Granted, that one on right is just a stiff breeze from falling down. And with an EFG, you'd have to imagine it'd be very easy to make a tear. If you find a fight that's in your favor, you can just run straight for that Titan, maybe make things go in your favor. Like you said, mid-Phoenix respawned, and up, right, and left about to respawn, so defense feels successful for the Wardens for the time being. Meanwhile, it's the question of how long can you prolong the rest of the Fire Giant, right? The power play, the buff, lasts for another minute after these Phoenixes will respawn. Could give the Wardens the small opening, but finally the opening necessary to make sure that they're able to get something going.
Yeah, I mean, once these Phoenixes spawn in, you got, what, 45 seconds before you can actually start to get aggressive with this enhanced Fire Giant. So I do think it's going to be a bit of a net wash. Relentless One does get caught out here, but I imagine just goes up into the sky and doesn't even care, even if the ult started coming through. So finally, the Wardens are going to group and push up the left side, and Snatty's not going to let Relentless One back, because when you hit that Gamazot's one, you're able to see people through the walls forever. So it looks like finally we get to see some aggression from the Kaolin Wardens, but they're immediately channeling their backs after they get that tower.
You know what? At this point, I'm looking at small chunks of gold, but chunks of gold nonetheless, right? That tier 2, it's going to be some money in the pockets, gives you something. Although we've hit the point where, you know, it's Sentry Wards, it's upgraded relics, it's the power potions that we're seeing bought for a majority of these guys. So maybe map state Titan health conversation should be had with each of these towers. Tier 2 and right, again, still very easily felled if necessary. Fire Giant going to be coming back in a little under a minute for the Tanuki or the Wardens to try and fight. Last time around, the go button for most of this has been pretty much centered around can Sino find something, and is Moswell alive? If that's up and you got Scarab's Blessing, the Tanuki have not no chance, but it feels like they have to play it patiently. Whereas on the other side, it's just go. Like, even though you're at the disadvantage, even though it took you longer to get to the point in the builds where you are, it hasn't mattered. Because your team fight's just insane if you're the Wardens.
I mean, this is Fire Giant number 5 cooking up, and it's about to spawn in here shortly. Notably, Gino was able to grab Snatty's beads with a little bit of help from Griff there, so that could be a decent target, and Sino is looking for it. Good jump by Snatty, and the ult misses! This could be the fight that the Tanuki are looking for.
There's going to be Nehu up into the sky, an immediate aggression. They're going for Sino. They're looking for a little bit more. They grab Gino. There's the ult in retaliation. Good Aegis keeps Nehu alive, and Snoopy able to take down Relentless One now. That's 70 seconds without a solo laner. No aggression outside of maybe someone with Scarab's Blessing rushing in. This Fire Giant startup by the Tanuki, they're going to then instead turn on the Warden. Snatty's looking deep, goes for Moswell. Bat out of hell is here. The Aegis, the Scarab's Blessing is waited out. And Moswell's gonna get taken down just afterward. No, great stun from Sino. Instead,
wow.
Snatty finds the leap and is able to get one more on the board for his team.
What?
The stuns, the damage, it's all good. Snatty stays alive, and it's 3 gone for the Wardens. Everyone's still standing on the Tanuki.
It's 5v2, but they have to go back. They can't just walk in and end. They have too much respect for the amount of damage that Griff is able to output, especially underneath that Phoenix. So now the Tanuki are going to back up here and go for Enhanced Fire Giant one more time. And remember, that all started from Sino just whiffing the ultimate, Snatty hot-stepping it. I mean, just a sprint outward. Once that ultimate is down, you just have so much more aggression that you're able to use. And it's time for the Tanuki to go for this Enhanced Fire Giant. Fire Giant number 5, by the way. We are 47 minutes into this game, and we are finally seeing some time where it looks like the base is going to be broken. And yeah, 26 seconds without Moswell, 30 without Gino. This is time. The Tanuki need to run this down.
Yeah, you just have to get aggressive. Magic Feet still half health, not a lot of sustain for the team, but it doesn't matter. You got Snoopy on your squad. You got Nehu here to kill off objectives. Snoopy playing it safe, though, playing it smart, not going to take unnecessary Phoenix damage while they have to. That was insanely fast for
3
how
autos,
quickly
if you were
that
curious.
bird went down. 3 autos, and that was able to get the right side Phoenix. Moswell is now going to be respawning. Gino's going to be up in a second anyway. Still no ult on Gino just yet. Just came up. And so they're going to respawn at full force.
All these Phoenixes are dying from 3 autos from Snoopy. I mean, I just want to continuously see it. Just walk up, 1, 2, 3. Walk up, 1, 2, 3, and then Titan time. 1, 2, 3. There we go. It's the same amount of HP, because guess what? All these Phoenixes have already died before. They all respawn back. And Sino's in the backline. He gets, oh, that was a clutch ultimate. I was about to say, that ultimate goes down and gets no Viper. Relentless One's up in the sky.
No way he tries to dive someone in the back line this time. He goes for the knockup, but I don't know if this is where you want to be. He's playing distraction, and I love this from the Tanuki. Ignore the Ratatosker. If he gets aggressive again, Nehu has the eyes back there. They're just waiting for him. Might be the jump in hurry if he had gotten that stun. A leap, a silence, anything. Would have decided to close that out. Snoopy seems to be getting aggressive. They want to peel somebody off, and Relentless One seems to be an easy target. He's TKO'd for now, has to run back and back to base, get into the fountain. No ult to his name. 1 relic burned. That's going to open up the base for the Tanuki. Snatty seems to be a little bit of a target. Maybe Sino steps too far forward. There's the meatball damage. Good from Moswell. But not good enough just yet. Fields of Love used. And it's going to be a defensive run from the Tanuki, but Hurrywin gets pulled in, transforms, and that might be the go button for the Tanuki. No! Instead, it's the delete button from Moswell. He finds a double kill and pushes the Tanuki back one more time. Relentless One, he's regained his ult and is getting aggressive. But Magic Feet, no way, with the minions, is going in. Who cares about the fight?
Go
You're
Snoopy!
not there for the defense.
He's going
Snoopy
for it!
running in, and it's going to be the backdoor win. The Tanuki take that one away, despite losing 2 players at the end.
I mean, this is what I'm talking about. This is the 5th Fire Giant, Enhanced Fire Giant. I mean, Moswell's ultimate deletes too, but we just saw how much Snoopy could do to a Phoenix. Turns out, pretty similar situation with that Titan. I mean, it's just such a, you have so much damage at that point. You have elixirs of power, you pop in 3K pots. If you get to that Titan in a 1v1 setting, I love that play because, you know, some teams may just retreat and say, we'll try again and something like that. With respawn timers this low, that's the best play you can make.
And honestly, I have to imagine the comms Magic Feet. Hey, guys,
I'm just going to end.
just distract him for a bit.
Yeah.
He runs that way, everybody else is going that way, and the chase is on. This is the Fenrir with the wave. and a dream. And man, does he keep it alive. And what a far cry from how this game started. I mean, Kaolin Warriors had the lead. They got, I believe, the first Fire Giant. They were just in control, it felt like, for a majority of this game. And it was Snatty with a couple of defenses. Have to give the shout-outs to the solo laner because of what he was able to provide. Snoopy as well. Look, Snoopy had, and I'll call him out on it, an atrocious KDA. He was getting bullied real hard for a majority of that game. And yet his damage is a huge portion. It's the carry from Snatty, from Magic Feet, a little bit in there, Nehu as well. I believe there was a very important triple. That Quadra, though, was the first turnaround point. Triple for Nehu somewhere in the middle, and then eventually late game Snoopy just really clicked up.
Yeah, this was that situation where Snoopy just kept telling, like, guys, you're going to have to help me out early, but trust me, once I get late game, like, I'm going to be doing damage, and that is what Chronos brings. I mean, those poly shots on the Phoenix, I think, were extremely clutch, as well as just the amount of damage that was coming from the time rips and everything like that. Just so much DPS. This is what you are, if you are picking Chronos, which no one is, just to be clear, no one else is picking Chronos, but if you are, it's in hopes that the game goes 50+ minutes so you can do that kind of damage.
Snoopy was 0-5, I think, maybe 1-5. Ends at 7-5. So a really good late game for Snoopy. A lot of the carries definitely able to get a lot, but you know, stuns, Magic Feet, 1, 2, and 9 there. Hurrywin able to get a lot of the assists there. I think the number was 17. 40,000 damage for Nehu. That seems egregious until you look up and you see 56,000 or 57,000 for Snatty, which seems wild until you see 67,000 for Griff. I mean, look, when you're going, what was it, like 13, 12,
and 2,
and something,
think, yeah.
You got to be putting out damage, and Griff was there the whole step.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Griff was dashing in aggressively whenever the Fire Giant was going over to the Tanuki, and then it was getting off those members. It was usually Gino and Griff diving to the back line, a Scarab's Blessing on point, and then the heart bombs were landing consistently. There was like one opportunity. The reason that this whole comeback, I think, even became possible, because it was a bit of a comeback, was the fact that Griff died once. That one time where Snatty got to the back line, no Aegis, no Scarab's Blessing available. Once that happened, then we started seeing the fights go in their favor, and that's how the Tanuki, I think, were able to pull this one out.
Well, they win this one. They find a 2-0 to start things off, and with that, we can look at the schedule for this week, how things shook out here in North America. Again, 2-1 there for set number 3. You saw a little bit earlier, the Storm winning over the Sages. Tanuki barely squeak out a 2-0 win here over the Wardens. Close game number 2. 50 minutes of back and forth between the two of them. But the Tanuki are able to find the win. And then on Saturday, if you're wondering when you're going to be able to see those, it will be Saturday for the Hounds and the Weavers taking each other on just before the SBL kicks off that day. Tomorrow morning, it's going to be the remaining set in Europe. I believe the Mambo are taking on, let's see if I can remember well, the Wargs tomorrow morning. So that'll be the SCC shot for you in the morning before SBL. Both days, Friday, Saturday. And otherwise, we're right back to the normal schedule. 11 a.m. on Sunday will be SBL. Trelly, it's going to be a very exciting weekend, especially based on what we saw today. A nice long one for us, but we're finally going to close it down. So thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with us all day. For myself, from Trelly, and everybody else here in the studio, we'll see you tomorrow.